guys, and welcome back to episode 2, and today we are going to be installing the ESC motor. Obviously I'm only going to show you how to install one motor because then it's rinse and repeat to do the other 3. So the ESC we are using today is either this one, let me hurry it up to the camera. This is the Acon 55 amp up to 6S rated. The ESC is absolute beast. We're going to mount that on the frame, and the motor we're going to use today, we are going to use the Mr. Steel Stout motor. Now I am going to be using, they do come with what they call the pants, which is a plastic guard, because we are going to be sending this frame into the bandos, and we're going to protect this these motors in this frame as much as possible. So those motors with that ESC should be a beast. Now, on all my previous Impulse builds, it's always been KISS. So, and I'm used to having the power cord XT60 off the ESC coming up this side when the battery's on top. But obviously, if we mount the Acon in its correct orientation, then it's going to be coming off the back. I'm never really a fan of having these motor solar pads overhanging out the side, obviously strikes and stuff. So what I'm going to be doing today, we're actually going to mount it this way. So I can have my XT60 where it should be, and then the motor outputs, the FC connection is this side, obviously then that'll do it, and also all the solar connections in the centre, whereas if we mount it that way, you will bring the motor down the arm and then do like a wonky S here, or you come around over the top, and I'm not a great fan of that either, because time you put all 12 wires doing over the top and in, or that way and in, and that way and in, you're going to wonder how much, or how, so during the flight, how much they're actually knocking on the bottom of your flight controller. So if I mount it this way, like so, then the wires need to come down the arm and just straight there. Nothing over the top, obviously, except for this ribbon cable which is going to come out and over when we put the FC on, but that will be the next episode. So today we're literally focused on the ESC and the motor. So we will do the XT60 on the next episode, but for today it's just the ESC and the motors. Let's get my soldering iron up to temperature here. Everybody has a preferred temperature for the soldering iron. Mine is 360. Some people do 400, some people do 300. I think particularly it's just down to whatever solder you're using, really. Where the solder I'm using is actually really quite thin, so it's very light. Also, we need a nice clean soldering iron. Yay! So what we're going to do first, we're actually going to tin the 3 pads, because we're going to be using this arm as an example for you today. So what I'd like to do is a little bit of solder on the soldering iron, and then we're just going to go there. Go, this one. Just feed it in. Should cover all the whole pad, leave some nice amount of soda. We'll do the hose side here. It's not. Sliding away from me there. And if you find it's not taking, solder iron has no solder on the bottom. There we go, all 6. Clean the soldering iron. I always like to clean it as much as possible. I know some people actually clean it between each pad. For me, I think that's a bit OTT. Look at this side again. So in, feed, out. In, feed, out. Just. I appreciate some of you watching this and you've done this already. I'm not trying to teach you to suck eggs, but there are people watching this that this is their first time building a quad, and if somebody has got a nice explanation and an easy guide to follow, then it helps them out. So, and obviously the XT60 one, same again, but also we're going to have to need to feed quite a lot of solder into this one, soldering around. There you go, nice healthy blob. I tend to find on bigger surfaces the solder won't go right to the edges. You might just have to slide your soldering iron around and that will help it along its way. So there we go, we are all tinned. Okay, this is the front, there's also a camera bounce there, the rear. Right, our motor, let's just stop there for a minute. Right, we are going to be using the pants so we can protect them. I don't want to get hit in bando buildings. That bit of protection, everybody loves a bit of protection. Now, the motors themselves, in the pack, obviously you get the pants, you get the nut to go on top. We'll put that on top so we don't lose it. If I don't drop it. There we go. They do come with their own motor screws. Obviously you get some in the Impulse hardware pack as well. But if you look, they're not actually long enough because the arms on the apex are really thick. So, in the pack itself, there are, here we go, slightly longer versions, and if you push them through, there you go, they only poke up, I'd say 2.5 mil. And if you just take the pants off of it, and that's what, when we're comparing it, that's what you want, because basically the mount hose here, or the thickness of the mount hose, we don't really want, well, we don't want the screws to go past this height here. Also we need to go as close through as possible, but any further and also you're going to hit the windings of the motor there, and then the first thing that's going to happen when you power it up is it's all going to short out, and then it's going to be a really bad day for you. So yeah, so make sure your screws only come through the arm, a couple of mil, and you'll be spot on. So let's get this motor mounted. Pants on there, look. So the wires are coming out there, nice and flat. Do is push one screw through, line it up with one hoe, like so. Take my driver. Lightly catch it, and then what we need to do, I can't see this light, is then line up the other holes, which I think is about there. So get some more of the motor screws that came in, Generally, once you've got 2 lined up, the rest of them will fall into place. Let's just do all 4. Find that one doesn't line up, probably because in each hole there are like indentations to where you can actually put the screw. So if you're finding you're screwing it's not going up, it's probably because you're in the wrong indentation that I've just done there. So once you've got all 4 caught, just nip them up. I mean, they've all got thread lock on them, so I'm not going to do, but you don't want to over tighten them because you are only going to alley, you'll just pull the threads out, which is not really what you want to do. So there we go, 1 motor on, turn it back over, ESC in, 1 motor on, and then all we're going to do is run the wires down the arm, 1 at a time, into the centre. We're going to cut them to length, and we're going to solder them in there, and then once that's done we're going to cover up these wires against damage and crotch strikes. So what I'm going to need is so I've got my blade and my snips. So what we're going to do, we're going to make sure there's a little bit of slack here so we can do it, but we'll take it off all in a minute and you'll find it. So we're going to go to there, that's nice to me. So what we're going to do, stay there, a bit wire bin. And what I like to do is grab the wire healer, and I've got a standing blade and a couple of wheels at the end, just roll it around. Rather than pull it or use wire strippers to strip them, because what you'll find is happening, because you're stretching it to the point that then it snaps, when you apply heat and solder to this wire, it will actually, the insulation on the outside will actually shrink back a bit, and then you end up with more wire than you intended. I'm just going to put that there so it's off the floor, soldering on. What we're going to do, we're just going to tin this wire, so a bit of solder on the soldering iron. Nothing crazy, and then a bit of solder on the solder iron. And what I need to get actually before we do this, with those, because it's going to be massively hot, I like to hold the wire with tweezers rather than my fingers, because I have spent way too much time burning my fingers. So hold the wire, there we go, into place. So we're going here on to 3rd pad in. Right, so once you've done that motor or that wire, what we need to do is just do exactly the same for these 2. So the middle one, try and keep them in order so that when you bunch them off on the arm at the end, you've got 3 in a line, you can get nice and flat rather than twisting them around. So just leave that one up to the pad next to it. There. Go, grab your snips. Cut wire in the bin. Here we go. So just roll it around again, and then you can just slide it off the end. But you don't want to press too hard with a standing blade, because what you don't want to do is actually cut the wire. So here we go again. Just put that there, just to keep it off my laptop. Hold it on. Get some soda in there. There we go. Nice and lightly tinned. Some more soda on. A little bit of soda on the bottom. So then we are just help to bend the wire shape a little bit. So everything helps. So tweezers, because I don't want to burn my hands. Down. There we go. See it all flow. There we go. Finally, a wire number 3. We can't really cut them all to the same length, because every time you go to the centre, the wire will be a little bit shorter every time. Right, so there we go, back to there. Straight, plug that in, roll it, shaky hands, and the wire, I like to give it a little twist rather than it being flat, so that when you push down on it, it doesn't spread. On my tweezers again now. Alright, clean soda item, a little bit gunky. Go. So we've got the soda again, and then we are coming in, so I'll shake it around a bit, see. Onto the pad. On it goes. So there we go, motor number 1 is done. So what we need to do is all these wires, that we shape them so they come down around the arm like that, all in a line, make them look nice and tidy. So that's what we like, but it's much better than having a wire, all 3 wires joining here or looping around to get a pad that's here. Obviously the orientation of this, but in a later video we'll show you how to remap the flight controllers so the motor outputs still all match. So once that's there like that, then the apex itself actually comes with arm guards. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to tape those down with a little bit of electrical tape. Just to stop them vibrating in the arms. Just a little bit of tape, nothing mental. Like so. Right to the bottom. Now these little guards, look. Slide them on the arm. of the motor wires are in the centre channel. We might need to reposition them like so. So obviously it's got the channel there, look. And once you'll notice that it will sit down a lot better on the arm. And then you can see at the end that it's grabbing one of them, so push it all to the centre and you'll see that the arm is potentially actually come down. Take it up. Now obviously this is going to protect you against prop strikes, so all these wires are now protected. And you can see if you slide too far this way you get a gap here by the motor, and then if you slide too far the other way it doesn't want to sit down properly, so you kind of need to be in the right position there. And all I'm going to do is a little bit of electrical tape on this end and this end, because it's nice and cheap. We don't want to put any special glues on, so 2 pieces, one. Cut them with scissors rather than breaking them or ripping it, because it just looks nice. So piece number 1, which is all very nice still, on the end there, look. Bit of tension as you put it around. Obviously keeping it all black, because I like a nice black stealthy quad. And the same on this end. It's quite hard to do this and keep the quad in the camera view for you guys to see. Right, so there, go round. Make sure it's nice and flat, as much air blows out as possible, and that the end is tucked down properly. And there we go. So how cool does that look? Arm, motors and the wires all protected. We've got our, I'm sure he calls it pants, motor pants on the end of here. Just make sure the motor spins nice and freely. Beautiful. And there we go. So now all we need to do it is 3 more times. And then once you've done that, tomorrow and the next episode we'll put the FC on, wire the FC in, along with its crossfire receiver. So until tomorrow, we'll see you then.